Comedy Store. He watches me in the audience. He comes backstage. He tells me what a great job I did and how much he loves the joke. 2 years later, he's doing that as his last joke on
anything. That's a regret I have. I really shouldn't have said nothing, cause we not in the same league.
And because you finally did it, because you had no other choice, and now that he gone, you gonna act like he wanted to be a movie star. You stop it.
That's kind of like hate and jealousy. And hate and jealousy is a form of grief.
You probably know Steve Harvey, the so-called king of comedy who went from the Kings of Comedy stage to daytime TV, best-selling books and motivational talks. The man's an icon, no doubt. But according to Katt Williams, there's another side to Steve Harvey that the world's been blind to, and it's darker than anyone expected. In this video, Katt isn't holding back. He's not just throwing slick comments. He's dropping heavy truths, calling Steve Harvey more than just a comedy veteran, a man who's been playing the entire game wrong. So what exactly did Katt Williams say? Why is he calling out Steve Harvey now? And could there be real weight behind these explosive accusations? Let's get into it.
Just because a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true.
Katt Williams has never been the type to hold his tongue. Whether it's his stand-up specials or his unfiltered interviews, Katt speaks exactly what's on his mind. He's never been afraid to shake the table, and this time, he's aiming his fire straight at Steve Harvey.
Supposed to go last is because it was your tour. Tell the truth. It was Steve's tour.
For years, fans have known about the tension between Katt and Steve. Their history runs deep and messy. The most talked about moment? When Katt accused Steve of lifting jokes from other comedians, including Mark Curry, Katt claimed Harvey built a whole career off other people's material, and he didn't stay quiet about it.
First of all, I ain't really good at social media, so I didn't even know that was out.
But in this new clip, Katt takes things up a notch. He doesn't just question Steve Harvey, he paints him as far worse than people realize. According to Katt, the man behind that clean, family-friendly image isn't who he pretends to be. What he really is, Katt says, is a straight-up hypocrite. So what exactly did Katt reveal that's got everyone buzzing? He begins by giving Harvey his props, at least at first.
Said.
Okay.
And that was rough.
Nobody can argue it. Steve Harvey is a powerhouse in comedy, TV, and entertainment. He's stacked with awards, bestsellers, and hit shows. But according to Katt, all that success didn't come from just hard work. He says it was built on a system of manipulation and on using people as stepping stones to get ahead.
Like really kiss most of the corners of my when a person sits on the show and don't hesitate or say or and speaks eloquently, that don't mean it's true. Not in the same league, though. We shooting at two different baskets. I shouldn't even have said nothing.
Katt claims Steve carved out his career by surrounding himself with people who could push him higher, even if that meant stepping on the very ones who helped him. It's a heavy accusation, especially coming from someone like Katt, who's always branded himself as anti-Hollywood, the guy who refuses to play the industry's dirty game.
That's how we got started. And it was rough, man, because it was just the three of us. And the first night we did it was a disaster.
But Katt doesn't stop there. He goes after the way Steve presents himself as this inspiring, hardworking mentor, preaching hustle and positivity, all while secretly playing a very different game behind closed doors.
With you, Frankie, I didn't know nothing about this concept. When the promoter told me about it in October, I shot it down. Because that ain't how I've ever promoted it with some real monsters, man. I toured with the Kings. You know, I've been on stage with Sid, DL, and Burning Man. I had to say.
Katt says that Steve's good guy persona is nothing but a mask, a polished act hiding the real Steve Harvey underneath. According to him, the real Steve isn't about faith or integrity, he's about power, control, and keeping his fame untouched.
Pull out shows, so I took cash that night, because I'm gonna go across the border to the casinos in Canada, and I'm gonna gamble. We in the limo, me and Sid, We going across the thing, Border Patrol say, "Who are you?"
Let's get one thing straight. This isn't the first time Katt Williams has put Steve Harvey on blast. We've all heard about the joke-stealing accusations and the long-standing friction between the two. But in this new video, Katt takes it much deeper. He's not just calling Steve out for being a weak comedian. He's calling him out for being a bad person, according to Katt. Steve Harvey has built a pattern over the years, using people when it benefits him, then tossing them aside once they've served their purpose. It's a heavy claim, painting Steve as a man who's not just climbing the ladder, but making sure no one else ever gets close enough to climb it too. In Katt's eyes, this all makes sense. He points to Steve's rise through Hollywood, how he strategically aligned himself with certain people in power. To Katt, Harvey's success wasn't just talent or timing. It was calculated. It was about who he knew and what he was willing to do to stay ahead of everyone else. For Katt, that's the real story behind Steve's fame. Not hard work, not grind, but manipulation. Because Steve didn't just want to make it big. He wanted to control the whole board. And Katt believes that's exactly what he's been doing all along. But Katt's frustration isn't only about jokes or professional beef. It's personal now. He's fed up with what he sees as years of betrayal and hypocrisy. For him, this isn't just about stolen material. It's about how Harvey climbed to the top by stepping over others and cutting people loose once they were no longer useful. Katt even points out that some of Steve's closest associates have felt that sting, people who helped him, only to be left behind when it no longer suited Steve's image. Then Katt raises the stakes even higher. He claims that Steve Harvey's good guy image, the clean-cut, family man, motivational speaker act, is just a front, a performance. Behind that polished smile, Katt says, is a ruthless player who will do anything to protect his empire, and according to Katt, that obsession with control has turned Steve into someone who'll burn any bridge if it keeps his reputation untouched, whether that's with friends, co-workers, or even longtime allies. So what does all this mean? Is Steve Harvey really as bad as Katt says? Well, one thing's certain, Katt isn't afraid to risk his own reputation to call out what he sees as the truth. He's shining a light on what he believes is the dark side of fame, the manipulation, the ego, the power games that thrive behind Hollywood's perfect smile. But Katt's not alone. A lot of people have whispered about how the entertainment world isn't as pure as it looks. Some of the biggest names might just be hiding secrets behind their charm. As for Steve Harvey, he's stayed quiet so far. No public clapbacks, no direct response. But if there's one thing history's shown, it's that Steve knows how to survive controversy. He's weathered plenty before and somehow always lands on his feet. Whether he decides to respond to Katt's shots or lets it pass. That's the question. One thing's for sure, Katt Williams has shaken Hollywood again. And this time, the tension between him and Steve Harvey is hotter than ever. Who's being real? Who's spinning the story? And who's going to walk away on top in this war of words? Stay tuned. Because in comedy, it's never just about the laughs. It's about who's holding the power behind the curtain. Over the years, fans and other comedians have noticed Steve's controversial moves, the burned bridges, the silent rivalries, and the unapologetic attitude. But for Katt, it's not only about how Steve got ahead, it's about how far he's willing to go to stay there. Think about it. Steve Harvey wasn't always the TV mogul we see today. He started in the same grind as Katt Williams, performing in small clubs, hustling for recognition. But somewhere along the way, Steve got close to the right people. He made the right connections. From there, he jumped into television, became a best-selling author, and eventually the host of one of TV's biggest shows. Yet as Steve rose higher, people started to question how he did it, especially when it came to his relationships in Hollywood. Katt's criticism boils down to one core idea. Steve Harvey didn't just work hard, he played people. His rise wasn't about pure talent, it was about access, knowing the right doors to knock on, and the right people to keep close, even if you're not the most talented one in the room. That's exactly the message Katt's sending. He's painting Steve Harvey as a man who built his throne not on pure talent, but on strategy, power plays, and people skills. And if that's true, it changes everything we thought we knew about the comedy world. Because according to Katt, Comedy today isn't just about jokes or timing, it's about politics, control, and how well you can manipulate the game. Katt Williams, who's been around long enough to see how the industry really moves, claims Steve Harvey mastered that system. For Katt, it's not just what Steve says in his speeches or shows, it's what happens behind closed doors. He accuses Steve of using his polished public image as armor, while behind the scenes, he's pulling strings, cutting people off, and shaping the industry in his favor. It's the classic story, the good guy gets all the praise, while the ones calling him out get labeled as troublemakers. And here's what makes it even more interesting: Katt isn't the only one sounding this alarm. Comedians like Monique, Dave Chappelle, even Kevin Hart at times, have all touched on how Hollywood protects certain names and buries others. They've all hinted at how people in positions like Steve Harvey's decide who wins and who fades. Katt's just saying it louder and with names attached, but what separates Katt's take from everyone else's is the depth of it. He's not just calling Steve out for personal beef, he's exposing a system that rewards manipulation over authenticity, a system that lets power players crush anyone who dares to challenge them. According to Katt, Steve Harvey isn't just playing the game, he's rigging it, and let's be honest, when Katt Williams opens his mouth, people stop and listen. The man's got a history of pulling back the curtain, no matter who it offends. So when he takes aim at someone like Steve Harvey, it hits differently. Because this isn't about petty drama, it's about control. The control to decide whose voice gets heard. The control to write your own story. And the control to keep others like Katt from ever taking your spot. And that's the heart of Katt's argument. Steve Harvey represents the gatekeeping power. The kind that looks motivational on the outside, but on the inside is all about keeping control. Here's the twist though, Steve Harvey has built an entire empire teaching people how to win. From best-selling books to talk shows to his speak it into existence philosophy. But to Katt, that's all smoke and mirrors. He's saying Steve's not practicing what he preaches. That all those inspirational speeches? Just marketing. Behind the positivity, Katt sees manipulation. Someone playing by a different set of rules while telling others to work hard and pray. And that's what really eats at Katt, the hypocrisy. Because the same people selling authenticity are the ones running the biggest conduit. So what's the real takeaway here? Katt's not just talking trash, he's opening a conversation Hollywood doesn't want to have. Maybe Steve Harvey is a legend. But according to Katt, behind that smile is a man more focused on control than comedy. At the end of the day, Katt's not just challenging Steve, he's calling out the entire system. The one where talent isn't enough. Where connections matter more than character. Where staying on top means playing dirty. This is Buzz and Drama, where we peel back the curtain on celebrity truth. So what do you think? Is Steve Harvey the manipulator Katt claims he is, or is Katt just stirring the pot again? Either way, when Katt Williams speaks, the whole industry listens.